My passion is what I call caking. I think there's something about cake decorating that like people don't necessarily think it's hard because it just looks like so much fun, and it is fun. If you're really passionate about something, you won't give it up because that's what passion is. My passion is what I call caking. I started baking a long time ago. I started baking when I was a kid. My father used to be a baker in Germany, and I've always loved baking. And then I went to college to be a chef, but realized that my true passion was definitely baking. So from there, I worked in a bakery and tried everything in the bakery, mostly icing cakes, and just became sort of really fast at it, but wanted to be more challenged. So I started to make cakes on the side, mainly for friends, family, anyone who would take one. And then I just grew. I'm a self-taught cake decorator. I taught myself how to use fondant and gum paste. In 2010, I had a TV show here in Canada that's called Sugar Stars on the Food Network. And so that was a great experience, and I got some exposure from my work, which was great. And then after that, I actually had a baby, so I did no caking for a while. And then my producers and the creators of Sugar Stars told me, like, you know, they had always believed in me, and they wanted to do a YouTube channel of me right as I was finishing my maternity leave. So that's how we got here. It's a very long day. We generally film about 14 hours. Well, my cakes take a long time to make anyway, and then they sort of take a little bit longer because when you're filming, you have to make sure to capture it all. And also things like, because there's lights on set, that changes how I work. So sometimes I do need to stand down for a moment, put the cake in the fridge, take it back out. So it's quite a long day. And I need to, even though I'm so used to doing this, it's different doing it right in front of a camera. So I need to be sort of conscious of myself as I'm working and not making like a super concentrated face like I normally would. But it's lots of fun. And it's also fun for me because I'm used to working all by myself in my kitchen. And now when I work, there's 2 other people with me, and that's a lot of fun for me. The social media is amazing because one of the things I love most about cake decorating is my clients' reaction. And in the past, that was all I had. When I delivered the cake, I had the client's reaction. But now I have the reaction of so many viewers, and it's practically instantaneous, which is so amazing and so rewarding. I have, okay, let me do a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and me. So there's 6 of us all together. I have 2 producers who create my show, and then I have DP or my camera guy, which is Chet, and then I have Amy and Rachel who do a lot of things on the back end and keep me alerted to anything I should know. And you know, they find out amazing things like how we were on the news in South Korea and we didn't know that, so things like that. Yeah, and they help me out with my bi-weekly cake talk quite a lot because I'm not super technical, so I didn't even know how to use Google Plus before. Cake talk. Well, I think social media is key. And then with YouTube, consistency is key. So we put up our videos every Tuesday at 11. I always engage with the comments. And then there's also all of our social media to back that up, like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. And again, I engage with the fans. They ask me things, they comment, and they really, really respond to that. I mean, the growth has been more than I could have ever hoped for in this short time. So I myself am very pleased by it and super happy with it. But I do think that engagement and consistency are really important. Yes, I feel great. I feel like it's a little bit surreal. I almost don't believe it at times. Just the growth has been so amazing. And to be honest, after being on mat leave and not doing performing my passion, I kind of felt like what a chore it would be to start again. And my life is different and there's nothing I can do about that. That's the way it is. And so I felt out of sorts. And I think there's something about cake decorating that like people don't necessarily think it's hard because it just looks like so much fun, and it is fun. But it's a very long process, and you are working with food, so things can go wrong and you need to have a lot of patience. And then on top of that, my show is very well produced. It's produced like a television show. So that's huge, and that's a lot of time for my team. It's not just me like with my computer in front of me making a cake. It's produced like an actual show, and I think that's kind of another reason for the success, because it's sort of like a little niche market on YouTube. It's a lot like TV, and people like that. I would say that in order, Sugar Stars was a big key moment because it wasn't something I ever expected to happen to me. It came along as a great opportunity, and I'm glad I took it. But like I said, it taught me how to be in front of a camera, and I learned all the good, bad, and the ugly of the television world, and just sort of the long hours and how tiring it is. You know, I think we take for granted when we watch TV and we know nothing about production, everything that goes into making that. As only a viewer, you have no idea. And then when you see the behind the scenes, it's incredible what happens to make a TV show, and YouTube is similar, at least on my show it is. The second biggest key learning moment would be having my son, which is huge. It made me learn to increase my level of patience, which is already pretty high. And I think in the time that I spent alone with him, I really realized that cake decorating was my true passion because I missed it. As fulfilling and wonderful and all the love that being a new mom brings you, I did miss my passion. I didn't have time for it and I was way too tired, but I did honestly in my heart miss it. And there was a part of me that felt like it might never be a part of my life again. So I'm happy to say that wasn't true. And the third would be how to kick it, because YouTube, even though I've been on TV, you know, I learned all the good, bad, and the ugly of TV. YouTube is different, and in a good way, because with television, you film a whole season and then it airs. So even though your fans might have comments and they might write that on certain platforms, there's really nothing you can do to change what's already been taped. Whereas on YouTube, it's so right now, it's so live that I can do a video. We film about a month in advance, but still that's a short period of time. So when we get fan requests, we can actually respond to them. And that's amazing. Or when we see that people like, you know, my sense of humor, we can include more of that. So it's really, really great to have that feedback, which has mostly been positive on my channel, which is another great thing, and that's what keeps us going. My biggest mistake would be learning my worth. I think that took me a very long time. And it's hard when you're an artist in any form, because without a portfolio, you have nothing. You only have your words, right? So in the beginning, I made cakes for friends, family, whoever would take one. And that's how I built my portfolio. I took photos of everything I did. And then eventually I started to get clients. And it's really hard because something like cakes in particular, people eat them and then they're gone. So the fact that I've spent 4 days on a cake is sort of irrelevant in somebody's mind because they have no idea how it works. They just know, here's my birthday cake, I'm going to eat it and it's gone. You know what I mean? And also just sort of amassing all the tools that I have to now cake decorate. I didn't start with all those tools. I didn't have thousands of dollars and went out and purchased them all. I would purchase as I used them. And cake decorating tools aren't exactly the cheapest thing, and fondant isn't cheap. So, and butter isn't cheap. So it's expensive and time consuming. And I wish I had known to charge my worth sooner. I wouldn't say I regret that, because I started so young at 20 that at that point in my life, it didn't matter. I certainly couldn't do that now with a marriage and a house and a child, because there are real bills to be paid. So, but that would be the number one thing. because sometimes what you put out there is what you get back, right? And the way you teach people to treat you is how they treat you. So if you just keep like belittling yourself and not charging enough, then they tell their friend and then they tell their, and it's very hard to get off that train. So you sort of need to set a standard of what your work is like and what you're worth and what you charge. And unfortunately, some people will take it and some people will leave it, but there is a clientele for everyone. Definitely continuing to grow the channel. That's high on my list. Making more videos and just sort of responding to everybody, really listening to my fans. I would love to do a meet and greet. I have such great fans, and I have like a really core center of fans that are extremely devoted to me, and it just amazes me. I would love to do a meet and greet. I'd love to be able to travel the places that they're from and meet them. Attending something like VidCon 2016 would be amazing. There's so many great YouTube events. I did YouTube Fan Fest cake here in Toronto in the spring, and it was overwhelming. And then one of my biggest dreams that has always been my dream, even before TV or YouTube, is that I would love a cake book. I know we live in a very digital world, technical world, but there's something about seeing my work printed on a page that I could hold that I really long for, and I daydream about it often, and I have ever since I started. Well, I'm definitely a believer in following your passion. I've never known not how to do that. Even when, cake decorating didn't bring me the most success or the most money, and I was just sort of struggling, I never gave up. I had a job and I did it on the side. I never let my passion go. It just wasn't the only thing I did. So I would definitely say follow your passion, find a way to follow it, and understand that even baby steps are steps. I think we live in a world that seems like a competition, and especially with sort of social media, it just sort of seems like that, but I don't think it is a competition. And you've just got to do it your way, and you've got to tailor it to your life. Like how to cake get started, and it's sort of perfect for me because now that I have a child, I used to stay up all night and work on a cake if I had to, because I could, and now I can't do that. So How to Cake It is great because we can tailor it to my life. But no matter what, just sort of don't give up your passion. If you're really passionate about something, you won't give it up, because that's what passion is.